theyeshiva.net.
Likkutei, the Mizmor Shir, Chanukah Sabayis L'David, Daf Tzadik Tes. It's the second column, Perek Beis, chapter 2, page 197, or Tzadik Tes, column 2. V'chein yesh gimel b'chines haniskaris la'el b'Torah mitzvahs. The same three relationships or three dimensions discussed above exist also in Torah and mitzvahs, meaning in Yiddishkeit. Kenoida, as it's known, doiraisa hibchidas mazon l'neshama. It's known that Torah is defined as mazon, food for the soul. There's an expression in Tehillim, v'soiroscha b'soich meyai. Your Torah is inside my womb, my meyai, my meyayim, my intestines, my abdomen. So, at the surface, just a euphemism, but the euphemism is very precise. It's not just a melitza, it's not just, an illustration, external illustration, but it's a very precise one. That Torah is considered mazon, it's food for the soul. Just like there's the food for the body, there's also food for the soul. Mitzvahs heim levushim l'neshama. Mitzvahs are characterized as garments of the soul. So this concept that we had in the body, the difference of food and clothes, discussed in chapter 1 of the Maimer, exists also on a soul level. Torah is the food. You have in Mishlei, Torah is considered also bread. Calls Torah bread l'chu lachmu b'lachmi. You should join your bread, eat your bread with my bread. That's the expression in Mishlei, referring to Torah as lechem, as bread, which is mazon. And mitzvahs are called a levushei haneshama. He brings in the brackets other Maimorim that discuss this more at length, discuss this as well. V'hinei av shalamata b'hishtalshalos. Ha-mitzvahs heim b'madrega yoser tachtoina meha-Torah. Even though the way it comes down here in this world, what we call an ishtalshalos, the way the divine energy or consciousness evolves all the way down here to this world. Generally, we see Torah as higher than mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are in a lower madrega of Torah. Shehem b'maisa gashmis. It's expressed in the fact that mitzvahs relate usually to physical action. The Mishnah says in Meseches Peah, we say it in the morning, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam, that the mitzvah of Torah has something that is unique, transcending all the other mitzvahs. Because the way the divine energy comes down here, what he calls nishtalshalos, the system of ishtalshalos, the system of the evolution of the divine energy, Torah is higher than mitzvahs. Mitzvahs relate to maisa gashmis, to physical actions, to the material. Torah is a much more internal, cerebral, intellectual, spiritual experience. Mitzvahs are more focused on technical actions in the physical world. That's on one level, and that's true.
It says Sama Torah connected kulam, so it's sort of, it puts that one against that one. It makes them all equal, sort of, equally great.
Yeah, but we'll see. There's another side too. That's just Afal Pikein on the other. Despite this, on Urayim, we observe shegvayim hem yoseh b'sharsha. He says on Urayim we see an interesting expression. Who sees? He says we see that mitzvahs agvayim hem yoseh b'sharsha. We see, but Parshas he means from all the Maimarei Chazal and Sfarim, you could see that mitzvahs in their root are even higher than Torah. Basepes v'lachein. Where do you see this? Kol ha-Torah hi pirush ha-mitzvahs. Essentially, all of Torah, whatever you're learning, it's a commentary on mitzvahs. Whether it's hein ben nigla, whether it's nigla, the nigla of the mitzvahs, meaning the revealed dimension of the mitzvahs, or hein ben nister, or the esoteric, the concealed explanation of the mitzvahs. K'may, for example, Sefer HaZoyar. For the first, he doesn't have to give an example because it's literally the whole Torah. In other words, you're learning Masechta Brachas, you're learning Masechta Shabbos, you're learning Erevin, Pesachim, Shkalim, Baba Kama, Baba Basra, Pchayris, whatever you're learning. Essentially, what is the whole Torah doing? It's explaining, elucidating, elaborating, detailing the mitzvahs. That's what it does. We're learning on Masechta Pesachim. The first Mishnah, what's the first Mishnah? The first Mishnah explains what the Chachamim did in order to ensure that on Pesach you don't have chametz. Right? And they'll explain the reasons and what to do and the practicalities and the mechanisms and how to avoid it and what happens if there's a mistake. Either it explains the details of a mitzvah, or it explains the reasons of the mitzvah, or it explains different aspects connected to the mitzvah. That's the whole Torah, basically, that you learn. Some svarim explain the mitzvah in nigla, meaning the practical mitzvah in a revealed way, whatever that mitzvah is. Yeah. The first Mishnah in Brachas discusses the mitzvah of saying Kriya Shema at night. The next Mishnah discusses the mitzvah of Kriya Shema in the morning. That's the Mishnah. You learn the Gemara, it's just an elaboration of that. Why he said it this way, how do you explain it, what is the meaning of this and this detail? Then you have Zoyar. He says, what's Zoyar? Zoyar also explains all the mitzvahs. Zoyar goes through the Parshas. But over there, it's the mitzvah of Nis, the mitzvah the way it is in Nister. V'chein Amar Razal, the Gemara says, in Masechta Kiddushin, Gadol Talmud Shemei V'lidei Maisa. The Gemara brings a machlokes over there, Masechta Kiddushin, that for a few years they argued what's greater, Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol. Is learning greater or deed is greater? Nimnu v'gamru, at the end they took a vote that Talmud Gadol. Why? Shah Talmud meivi lidei maisa. That's the expression in the Gemara there. Because Talmud brings to maisa, and I think Rashi has an expression there, v'nimtza shneim biyadeh. So when you have Talmud, it's going to bring lidei maisa. So in Mela, you'll have ultimately both. Here the Balatanya seems to say that the Gemara is Kiddushin Daf Mem, yeah. Kiddushin Daf Mem Amid Beis. In the back they have the Mara Mekaymas. So over there, Nimnu v'gamru Talmud Gadol, Shah Talmud Meivi L'dei Maisa. The Talmud brings L'dei Maisa. That's the mile of the Talmud. He could have said Talmud Gadol because Talmud is Gadol, because learning is greater. So the reason learning is greater is because it brings to action. V'chein, the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, the first Perek, Loi ha-midrash ikar ela ha-maisa. The learning is not the primary thing is action. V'chein Amar Razal, b'ksuvas daf peivav. The Gemara says in Ksuvas, Aval b'mitzvahs esse. He speaks there about the difference of mitzvahs loisasa and mitzvahs esse. So the Gemara says, the Ksuvas peivav amar aleph, that mitzvahs loisasa, many of the mitzvahs loisasa, if a person violated them, and there were witnesses, and there was a warning, and all of the prerequisites in halacha, there could be lashes, malchus. Mitzvahs aseh, if somebody violates a positive commandment, there's no consequence of malchus, of lashes. That's the difference. Mitzvahs loisasa, when the Torah says not to do something, for example, don't eat chelev, don't eat a certain part of the animal, which is a lav. So here, don't eat horse meat. Don't eat chazer. Person eats a kazayis. Again, you need a lot of things have to happen, but there could be an isser malchus. There could be lashes. A mitzvahs aseh, Torah says, put on tefillin or eat matzah on Pesach. Take a lulav on Sukkos. Person doesn't do it. It's an aveda. It's called bittul mitzvahs aseh. But they didn't do something active. They were just passive. They didn't do the mitzvahs aseh. There's no consequence of lashes. So the Gemara qualifies that. This is all afterwards. But before, aval mitzvahs aseh, you go in shoymrim loy. Aseh sukkah ve'ene yoisa. Hayu makin yoisa achatetze nafshe. Before a Jew comes and says, I'm not doing the mitzvah. I'm not going to eat in the sukkah. So Bezdin has a responsibility to compel him to do it. Strike him until he makes sure he does the mitzvah. In other words, that they'll do everything that he should do the mitzvah. V'av she'amru, even though the Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos, Shemi she'toirasa yumnasa. The Gemara says in Shabbos, the first perek, Daf Yud Aleph, somebody that his Torah is his craft, that's his trade. Umnasa means his trade, his profession. Misha Toirasa yumnasa. His Torah is his trade, meaning that's his entire occupation. Reb Shimon ben Yochai v'chaveirov. The example is Reb Shimon ben Yochai and his colleagues of the Gemara says, Ein mafsikin l'tfilah. They wouldn't stop their learning for davening. Davening is a mitzvah. And they would not stop their learning, which is contrary to the theme that he's saying here, that we see many Mamar Chazal with a mitzvah sagreir. Ubi Yerushalmi paid the Kama de Shabbos. And in Yerushalmi, in that place, in the first Perek of Shabbos, Amru, Shafilu l'krishma ein mafsikin. Not only for tefillah, which you could say, tefillah, shachris, is a derabanan, you could say, right? Shachris, mincha, ma'ariv, but even Kriyas Shema, reading the Shema, which is a biblical commandment, they also wouldn't stop. No. So that means a Jew who's learning Torah doesn't stop for mitzvahs. If Torah is his profession, meaning he doesn't stop for anything else either. This is his whole thing. He says, so the Baal Tanya says, Hainu dafka l'krishma. You have to know the Gemara there, what it means. Yerushalmi means only Krishma they didn't stop for. Or only Tefillah they didn't stop for. Aval mitzvahs esek kamay l'sukkah lulav. Did Rashbi go to eat in a sukkah? We're not talking when he was in the cave. In the cave, he didn't eat in a sukkah like we learned in Likkutei Torah Shmini. But did he go shake a lulav? Or say, no, I'm learning. I'm not going to do Kriya Shema. Why should I do lulav? And Rashbi lived after the Churban. After the Churban lulav, the first day is Menat Torah. The other 6 days is only Medivrei Seifrim. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is Takana. But whether the first day or the other days, he stopped for sukkah and lulav and other mitzvahs, or his shofar and Rosh Hashanah. He's just giving an example. Mechuyev lahafsik, k'mevuy b'Yerushalmi sham. As it's clear from Yerushalmi Shabbos, huva b'Baal HaMoyer peirek kama de Shabbos. Explained and brought in the Baal HaMoyer in the first peirek of Shabbos in Bavli, in Masechta Shabbos. What's the expression of Yerushalmi? Quote, V'loi moider Rashbi shemafsikin lasa sukkah. Yerushalmi says, you think Rashbi wouldn't admit that you have to stop your learning to build a sukkah for sukkahs? And the Yerushalmi explains, yes, he would agree. So why not Kriyas Shema and Tefillah? Zok the Yerushalmi, Taimei de Rashbi, the reason of Rashbi is Zeshinun v'Zeshinun, ein mevatlin shinun mipnei shinun. Torah is learning. Kriyas Shema is also learning. You're not mevatel one learning for another learning. But a mitzvah that's a completely different realm, like sukkah or lulav, over there, even Rashbi, Toirasa Yamnasai, you have to stop. It's not a mitzvah that you could do. The Gemara famously says in Mayit Katan that a mitzvah she'ef shalasas aydei achedim, if you could do a mitzvah through somebody else, you could send a shliach, then don't stop Torah. But sukkah, if I want to eat, I can't make you a shliach to eat for me in the sukkah. Just like I have to eat myself, you can't make a shliach to eat. You have to eat yourself. I can't make a shliach to hear shofar for me, or to hear Megillah for me, right? Or to eat matzah for me. I can make a shliach to separate truma, to give tzedakah, that I could do. I could say, go to the field and separate my truma. That you can make a shliach for. You can make a shliach for kiddushin. You can make a shliach for gittin. You can make a shliach for different mitzvahs. But there's something called mitzvahs shebegufa, mitzvahs you have to do on your own. I'll make a shliach. You put on tefillin for me. You eat matzah for me. You hear the Megillah for me. You pay somebody. It's like you say Kaddish, so do everything else for me. So this is a mitzvah that you have to do yourself. So Kriya Shema and Tefillah you also have to do. I can't make you a shlich to say Krishma for me. I have to say Kriya Shema. But Zeh Shinun v'Zeh Shinun. These are, so to speak, the spiritual mitzvahs of learning. So here, he did it through Torah, Zeh Shinun. But other mitzvahs, Yerushalmi says, even Rashbi, Torah Seyam Nasi was mafsik.
What's the difference between Shinun and Shinun?
It's different words. V'shinantam levanecha. Shinun is like v'shinantam. Learning, teaching, yeah. Learning. Yeah, the word shinu is a change. This is shinun, vav nun.
From Shana.
Shanun means sharp. That's what you mean. Shana, yeah, karav is shana, learning, huh?
Year.
Shana is that's another word, year.
But change is not related to year?
Well, there's two interpretations why shana is called shana. One is that a year encompasses all the changes of the seasons. And another idea is shana from the word mishnah, which is repetition, like sheni, second. Which is similar, that every year, so to speak, a repetition of the previous.
There's also the element in Torah, as a side note, element of Torah that it's a mitzvah, so also about politics.
That's true, yeah. Yeah. Torah is also a mitzvah, that's true.
Or I can take a little bit.
If you're learning about sukkah, you're learning about it, but it's not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is a very physical mitzvah. You got to build a sukkah and eat in it.
Building the sukkah is part of the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to sit. It's the dairy.
So it's an interesting question. The Yerushalmi holds that building the sukkah is part of the mitzvah and you have to make a bracha for it. La halacha, we don't do that. La halacha, when we make a shechiyanu, a leishav basukkah, it includes the building of the sukkah. But the question is building the sukkah only a hechsher mitzvah, a preparation? So that's la halacha how we do it. But it happens to be that the Yerushalmi holds that you make a bracha to build the sukkah.
Still probably, even if it's a mitzvah, you could probably still make a shliach. It's probably not.
To build a sukkah, yeah. To build a sukkah, you can make a shliach, yeah. But to eat in the sukkah, you can't make a shliach. Say, I'll eat in the house, you'll eat for me in the sukkah. Because the mitzvah is to eat in the sukkah. I mean, unless you're not eating for 7 days. But it's not just eating in the sukkah. But sukkah is teshuvah. The sukkah has to be your home. It's not just eating. It's learning, whatever. Huh?
Rabbi mentioned before that when someone doesn't do a low saseh, there can be lashes.
Afterwards.
Under a lot of conditions. And if someone doesn't go to the sukkah, which is a aseh, then they smack them.
Before, in order to, he should do it. Makanaisa.
You can explain that a little bit.
So if someone was...
It's not for the Shir, yeah?
So if someone was very, very resistant to go in the sukkah, and people were pushing him and hitting him to go in, could that hitting be worse than the lashes? Even worse than the lashes?
Achatetze nafshe. Achatetze nafshe.
Nafshe is like the Rambam holds. Nafshe is from Ritzayna, nafshecha.
Very beautiful. Beautiful. He's saying, Achatetze nafshe literally means till his soul leaves, meaning you force him to do it. But he's saying Tetze nafshe could mean, the Rambam says, that if somebody doesn't want to give a get, and halachically he has to, so makinoisai, right? Koifinoisai achiyomeritzani. You force him until he says, I want to. Rambam Hilchas Gerish in Perek Beis Halacha Chaf. You force him till he says, I want to, because you have to give a get willingly. You can't chain him up, right, and have him give a get. He has to say, I want to. So makinoisai, you hit him, you koifinoisai, you compel him, achiyomeritzani. Ask the Rambam, but it's a joke. He doesn't want. The only reason he wants is because you're compelling him, you're forcing him, you're beating him, whatever you're doing. The moment you stop, say, I don't want to. So it's not really, it's fake. The whole point is it has to be beratzen. It's fake. So the Rambam answers, these are the words of the Rambam. Since he's a Jew, that's what the Rambam says, since he's a Jew, roitzehu lasas kol ha-mitzvahs. He wants to do all the mitzvahs. Those are his words. He wants to stay away from all the avedas. He just has a Yetzirah who overpowered him. So he says, I don't want, but really he wants to. He says, and when you koifenize, when you compel him, it's true, when he says Reitzani, even though he tells you he doesn't want, later he's going to say, I didn't really want. But the truth is that the words Reitzani are an expression of his true desire. So he says when they compel him, so it creates a weakness in the Yetzer. And when he says, I want, it's his true expression. And that's why it's called Ratzon. That's what the Rambam paskins. So Reb Shlomo is saying, Acha Tetze Nafshe means until his soul comes out. Until his true soul comes out. Das ist a schöne chsidische Teitsch.
Just say that the difference between not giving the woman a get, which and going over or pressing us. That's
No, I'm just explaining the background of his words.
but,
Yeah.
but
It's a real Hasidic touch, but a real Hasid would never get into that situation.
A real Litvak would also not get into such a situation. A Yirei Shemayim doesn't get into such a situation. Yeah. V'chol hanal. What's here? What's the point here? What does all this show? Even though on the way it comes down here into this world, mitzvahs are considered, so to speak, lower than Torah. The connection through Torah is higher, deeper. Shehema b'chinas levushim. And we can understand it from the metaphor. As we explained, food, in so many ways, is much more serious than garments, because garments don't become you. Garments remain above you. They surround you. They encircle you. The food is converted into your very substance, what we call chiyus pnimi. And that's the gewaldige uniqueness of Torah. A mitzvah person does. Torah, a person digests. Torah becomes ingested, digested. When a person truly understands Torah, Torah becomes their very mind, their very substance of being. That's true the way it comes down here. But now we have all these Maimorei Chazal that indicated the opposite point. So he says both are true. Because it's levushim, mitzvahs are levushim. But like we said before, mekoyrim v'sharshim l'maylo yoseh gavoya. When you look at the shirish, at the root, at the source, the garments are higher than the food.
Isn't the Parshas though that all the stuff we've been quoting, Midrash Shikra, Maisa, Tam Tam, really Maisa, that down here mitzvahs are greater, not just the Bisharshim, the mitzvahs are greater? Isn't that how I would have interpreted it? He's saying that
No.
the Bisharshim is greater
No, it's not a stira. Of course, down here you have to do the mitzvahs. It doesn't mean up there you have to do the mitzvahs. He's saying down here itself, there's two aspects to the mitzvahs. On one level, you'll say mitzvahs are lower than Torah, but down here you'll also say mitzvahs are higher than Torah, because if you're looking at the shirish, it's higher. You understand?
even though down here.
Yeah, there's two aspects to it. Yeah. Just like we spoke about clothes, that they're more expensive down here. They're not only more expensive up there. The house is more expensive down here. The clothes last more down here. Because there's two aspects. On one hand, mazon obviously has something to it. A person without mazon won't be able to live at all, like we explained. But in the shirish, levushim are higher.
And when the Chazal say gadol, they're talking about the shorish.
Right. Shehem abchinas levushim. It's levushim, but mekaydim v'sharshim l'mayla hu yoseh gavaya. Shah Torah shebchinas mazon. Torah, which is called the food. Sharsha, it's rooted b'bchinas pnimius yutzvidas datzilas. It's rooted in the internal, the core of the 10 sviras, the 10 divine characteristics of Hashem, of Atzilus. As the Zohar says, Oiraisa mechachma nafkas. It's an expression on the Zohar. Torah emerges, it comes out from Chachma, and Chachma is the first of the 10 spheres of Atzilus. Torah is, so to speak, a manifestation of divine wisdom. It's Chachmasa Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem's wisdom. But it's Chachma. V'lachein, and that's the reason that Limud HaTorah ein la Shir. That learning of Torah doesn't have a Shir. What do we mean it doesn't have a Shir? So he says, Kigam beperik echad shachris, uperik echad arvis, yotzi yedei choyves Talmud Torah, v'gam v'hagisa boy yoyman v'layla. The Gemara tells us in Masechta Menachos, Daf Tzadik Tes, that there are people that they fulfill the mitzvah of Torah through perik echad shachris, one chapter in the morning and one chapter in the evening. Sometimes the person doesn't have the ability to do more, or can do more for whatever reason. The Gemara discusses there. And it says, even Kriya Shema. He says a chapter of Kriya Shema in the morning. Kriya Shema is Torah. It's Parshas V'eschanan, Parshas Eikev. And a chapter in the evening, he fulfilled the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. On the other hand, another person, the Pasuk says, V'hagisa boy, you should toil in it, you should learn it, Yoim and V'layla, day and night. The Gemara tells there a story. Tameh ben Ashina was it? He asked Rabbi Shmuel, he says, I already learned the whole Torah. Right? I learned the whole Torah. Can I learn Chachma Yavonis? Can I go learn Greek philosophy? So his uncle told him, of course, say, zman she'enei min hayoim ve'enei min halayla. Find a time that's not day and not night, and then you should learn it. Because it says, v'agisa b'yoim v'layla. So that's what he told him. No problem, but just find a day that's not day. What do you see from every mitzvah? It has a shir. I ate a kazayas matzah. I fulfilled the mitzvah. You want to do a kazayas shir chazaynish, do a kazayas shir chazaynish. But you fulfilled the mitzvah. Nobody's going to say, I have to eat another 20 matzahs, 30 matzahs. I mean, you can eat more matzah, gesund to hate. But there's a shir. You lit Hanukkah candles, you did the shir. A Jew put on tefillin. Every mitzvah, you said Kriya Shema, you did the mitzvah, you heard shofar. You can hear shofar 20 times. You heard the Megillah. Every mitzvah, it has a measurement. You could say, Ad Kan HaKofa Aleph, Ad Kan HaKofa Beis. Every mitzvah is like that. Huh?
Except for the Haggadah to Levin.
Even V'Gada to Levincha. You could elaborate, you should elaborate. But if a person does the basics, yeah, he tells the story, he explains Pesach, Matzah, Mar, tells the story, it's good. Yeah. It has a shir. Of course, you could be mahadir, you can add, could sit in tefillin a whole day. They used to sit in tefillin a whole day. The same is true with many mitzvahs. A mitzvah has a shir. Sviras ha'omer. Yeah. You count the omer, you did the mitzvah. You want to count it again by day in case you didn't know, you didn't think, you made a mistake. Fine. You're not going to make a second bracha. Why? It's going to be a bracha levatala. I shook lulav. I can't make a second bracha on the tillis lulav because I want to shake a second time. Tomorrow you'll shake a second time. I can't shake it on a second time. The exception to this is Torah. Torah, what's the shir? You say, I already learned 4 hours. No, so learn a 5th hour. I learned 10 hours. No, learn 11 hours. I learned 23 hours. So learn 24 hours. I learned 24 hours. Okay, now is a new day. On the other hand, some people can't learn 20. Nobody can learn 24 hours. I mean, they have to eat and sleep. But the point is, one person is Yotze Perek Echad Shachas Perek Echad Arvis, Mitzvahs Talmud Torah. The mitzvahs on every Jew. And that could be 5 minutes. And the other one, you say, if he can, is Vagisa B'Yom V'Layla, by day and by night. What's the Havana of this?
There are a couple things. We see how pay, but around doing something. The Talmud Torah, a bunch of things.
Ha'isa kol sadeyu peya, ain't a peya.
Yeah, but Eilu Dvarim Shem, in the morning.
Ein lem shir lamata, but yesh lem shir lamayla.
But it includes Talmud Torah.
In other words, yeah, but you have to you understand. Ein lem shir lamata. Pay a little corner, you yotza. Huh? Okay, but also, if somebody, it's like it's stuck, if somebody comes, needs a gemilas chesed, but you need certain mechanisms.
You also need a safe. I mean, you need Torah. If you don't have Torah, then you don't.
No. If nobody needs a gemilas chesed, I mean, it's not, I know people need, you know, the mitzvah depends that there's a poor person or a rich person needs a gemilas chesed. Torah is be'etzem ein l'shir. Says, what's the Havana in this? V'hainu shehu b'chinas mazon. Because this is all a reflection of it being mazon. Shadai lo b'pas charev. We said when it comes to food, one person can eat dry bread their whole life and survive. V'gam yachal lechel minei matamim. Another person can eat delicacies. Mazon is so diverse from one extreme to another extreme, and all are considered food. What's this diversity from? In other words, there's endless experiences of it. The source of mazon, physical and spiritual, is what we call mamalik halalma. And mamalik halalma, by definition, is defined by endless diversity. Because every creature needs its own mazon, its own type of mazon, its own type of nutrition. And that's Torah is also, its diversity is endless. And each person experiences it, learns it in his way, in his time, according to his capacity, understands what he understands, and so forth. And one person says, I'm just going to have dry bread. The other person, no, I want the whole gamut of food. And the same is true with Torah. This person is Yotze Perek Echad Shachas Perek Echad Arvis. That's a marshal of bread and salt. You know, the basics, the basics. I wanted to say meat and potato, but it's not meat and potato. It's dry bread. Another person says, no, I want the matamim. I want the whole richness. I want the full smorgasbord. I want to taste everything. I want the full delicacy. And it's not like the first person didn't have food. The first person had food. Because Mamali Kalalman lends itself to endless diversity of experiences. That is Mamali. Mamali is the way the energy is manifested and enclosed in the individual. Aval ha-mitzvahs. When it comes to the mitzvahs, you don't say that there's different shiurim. I have to eat a kazayas matzah, you eat a half a kazayas matzah. You have to eat 20 kazayasim of matzah. Generally, you don't say that. Mitzvah say mebchinas makif ha'alya. Mitzvah represents the divine makif. Bchinas keser echad. It's the crown, which is one, unifying. Sholamayla me'achachma datzilas. In the Shirish, it transcends chachma. V'lachei nasim levushim l'neshama. And that's why the way they express themselves is they become garments for the soul. Commotion is bar levushim, as we explained before, by levushim. And that's the difference. On one level, Torah infuses you. It becomes you. Torah represents the divine energy of Mamalik Kalalman that fills the world in a oifen of pnimius, chiyus pnimi. Mitzvahs represent what's called soivav kalalman, the eir of makif, which transcends the individual parameters. That's why a mitzvah, you do a mitzvah, but the mitzvah doesn't become you. I put on tefillin, so the tefillin encompasses me. I put on a talis, literally, so the talis encompasses me. Whatever mitzvah I'm doing, the mitzvah affects me, the mitzvah hovers over me. I am, so to speak, enclosed in the mitzvah, but you can't say the mitzvah becomes me. Torah, a person understands Torah, the Torah becomes that person. Their mindset, their character, their personality is molded by Torah. And every person's experience, therefore, is different. Like Mamalik Halalman, where mitzvahs are called the garments of the soul, and that's why it's generally one, Keser Echad. It's Mashava, Mashvekatam V'Gadol. Moshe and a simple Jew, when they learn Torah, it's a different experience. But eating the matzah, it's exactly the same mitzvah. Shaking the lulav, exactly the same mitzvah.
This is the Keser, which is Roshnet Limnet.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about the top.
No, that's the lower level of Keser. V'hinei k'Moshe b'Keser Elyon. Just like in Keser. Ha'memutze b'matzil l'netzol, which is the bridge, the intermediary between the Matzil, the infinite divine source, which is undefined, to the Ne'etzalim. Ne'etzalim are the spheroids of Atzilus, the world of Atzilus with their structure. Yesh by Shnei B'chinas. The Keser has two dimensions. Makif, the Makif canal. There's Makif, which we call Arich, and there's Makif even relative to Makif, which is Atik. Kacha mitzvahs, yesh beis minei mitzvahs. There are two types of mitzvahs in Yiddishkeit. Ha'alef, stam kol ha-mitzvahs. The ordinary category of all mitzvahs, sheimbir. Sheimbir, tzoynoi shel adam la'asoysam, which a person wants to do and could want to do. K'moi, sukkah, lulav, he's just using two examples of kahai gavna, and similar any other mitzvahs. And here, I'm going to ask a riddle. I want you to think about it for a moment. There are 630 mitzvahs. Every single mitzvah, I want to do it, and then I do it. Like everything else in the world, you want to do something, you plan to do it. I want to put on tefillin, I want to put on tzitzis, I want to give tzedakah, I want to learn Torah, I want to daven. Excuse me, I want to give a gemilas chesed, I want to put a mezuzah on my door. I want to welcome Shabbos, I want to make kiddush. I want to do a bris, I want to do a pidyon aben, every mitzvah. Ratzon, will, precedes every action that a person does. There's one mitzvah from 630 mitzvahs, one mitzvah, that if you want to do it, you can't do it. The only way you could perform this mitzvah is if you don't want to do it. If you want to do it, you'll never be able to do it in your life. You know which one it is? Only one mitzvah. If you want to do it, you'll never be able to do it. Yeah, very good. Who said that? You? Say it good. Fascinating mitzvah. That's what he's going to introduce now. A loisa, you don't do. You choose not to do it. This non-kosher food, I don't eat. It's Shabbos, I don't violate the Shabbos. Yeah, I don't want to. I do it through not... It's not something you do, it's something you don't do, you abstain. But that's what the definition of a mitzvah's essay. Mitzvah's essay is activity. Activity always is preceded by consciousness, right? I don't do mitzvahs in my sleep. A mitzvah I do in my sleep is actually not a mitzvah. It's called misasik. If it's the night of Pesach and I fall asleep and there's matzah on my bed and I'm sleeping and I don't know, there's something called sleep eat. I know there's sleep walk. There's something called sleep eat. I'm sure some Jews have the concept. They certainly wake up to eat. That we know. But
Can you consciously forget?
You don't consciously forget. So.
Maybe totally sleep out 3 times and you can just.
Then maybe you're not Yotzetak. But even if you tuned out by davening, you went to Shul, you opened a siddur, right? There's something, you're saying some words. At least you started. You put on tefillin. You wanted to do it. There's one mitzvah. Let's see. So he says, I sit in a sukkah. I walk into the sukkah. I take a lulav. V'yesh mitzvahs, but there's mitzvahs shem einam tluyim b'ritzoynei klal. These are mitzvahs that are completely not dependent on ratzon. Not only it's not dependent. Fakert rak dafke shaloi b'daitoi. It can only happen if there's no das, meaning if I don't want to. Kemai mitzvah shichah. Okay, gavna. Okay, good to Shaila. We'll wait for a moment for that. That doesn't say inside. What's mitzvah shichah? Mitzvah shichah means the mitzvah of forgetting. It's an interesting name for a mitzvah, right? Sounds like there's a mitzvah to forget. There's no mitzvah to forget. It's the mitzvah of forgetting. It's in Parshas Kiseitze. It says, if you harvest your field, and the way they used to do it is, they still do it, you harvest your grain or whatever you're harvesting, your fruits, your vegetables, you make bundles, sheaves. They're called an oimer, amorim, ayin mem reish yud mem, or alumim by Yosef. You make sheaves, you make bundles, and you tie them up, and then you carry them. You carry them to the place where you're going to store them, to the silo, or where you're going to process them, whatever you do. So the halacha is, let's say I have a big farm, a big field, and we worked, for a day or two, and we created 300 bundles, or 100 bundles, or 50 bundles. And I forget 1 or 2 of them. And I forget. I push it, I go home. Me, my workers, whatever, I go home and I forget about it. Tomorrow I come back and I see that I forgot. So the halacha is, I have to leave it for the poor. That's the mitzvah of shichah. It's a very interesting mitzvah. There are many things we give to the poor. For example, payah. You leave the corner of the field. There's meiser ani. There's 10% that you give for poor people from fruits, from vegetables, from grain. There's something called leket. Right, if you're harvesting and stalks fall. These are things that the Torah says, leave a little, it's like a tax, you have to give for the poor. But this mitzvah is a different type of mitzvah. Because if I decide, I tell my workers, forget about those bundles, forget about those 2 bundles, then it's not shichah anymore. You could give it to poor people, but that's already the mitzvah of tzedakah, it's not the mitzvah of shichah. The mitzvah of shichah is only if you forget. Meaning it's a mitzvah that can happen only if you're absent-minded. If you say, I want to do shichah today. Even shiluach hakan. Today there's a ganze maisa. People go do shiluach hakan. Ki yikare, prat lemezumen. If you're walking and it happens, but when you see the nest, you have a mitzvah. Here, if you want to do the mitzvah, I want to do shichah once in my life. Sorry. You have to be a shlemazel to be able to, not a shlemazel, but absent-minded. You forgot. Now you forgot. Ooh, I forgot. You're on the way home. I forgot. You go back. No, now you can't take it. You have to give it for the poor. So it's a type of mitzvah that you can't observe it with rotzen. The mitzvah takes root when you're not conscious. If you're conscious of it, the mitzvah can't take root. There's no other mitzvah like that. He says, Kai Gavna. It's a good treasure. We'll see what it means. Huh?
The Shichah part is only that in order for the circumstance to happen.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah. Once you...
Other mitzvahs also...
No.
Other mitzvahs also... Things that are outside of your... Circumstances that are outside of your
control have to happen, and then you have to do the mitzvah. The Shichah is
Yeah, but all other, of course, I have to have a house to put a mezuzah. But all other mitzvahs, Ratzon is the preparation for it.
once the circumstance comes up.
Yeah, sometimes you need other people's help.
Also, there has to be a circumstance.
If I want to daven with a minyan, I need 9 people. But I have a Ratzon, and I go and I call 9 people.
No, but there's other mitzvahs that you will never be able to willingly go and get unless other circumstances that are beyond you.
Yeah, you want to get married and do pru'urvu, you need the haskam of a woman. But you'll go and get it. You'll try at least. Hopefully you'll have atzlacha like you did.
You still go out the field and look for a kan sipar. That's not going to be a problem zoom when you can still go if I walk.
Exactly. And people do it all the time. They pay money for it.
I can wake up in the morning and say, I want to do Shichah.
Gesund to hate, but it's not happening.
I have that desire.
Gesund to, but that has nothing to do with the mitzvah.
No, that's what I'm trying to say, but at that time,
If you're planning to have shikha, then it's never going to happen.
on a subconscious level, unconscious level.
Okay, subconscious vesichnish.
Today I want to do Shichah. It happens to be that today I do it.
But the fact happened already. The fact happened already overnight. You just don't know about it.
You wake up in the morning and say, I wanna
You
do
wake up in the
that.
morning, you can't decide here just you want to.
I want to do egla arufa. Yeah, go kill somebody. I mean, what do you want? I'm just joking. Don't try that at home. Egla arufa means if there's a slain victim. So there's a mitzvah to do egla arufa. Right, but the mitzvah is not to have a slain victim. That's not the mitzvah. If there's a slain victim, now Bezdin says, okay, now we got to do egla arufa.
So the forgetting is the same as if there's a slain victim, if that happened.
But somebody killed him, but there was somebody who did it consciously. Not you, somebody else. You understand?
I mean, suppose we bracket.
You're right, there were circumstances of somebody else.
Circumstances of forgetting.
You forgot, yeah.
Mitzvah
Yes, so that's not what my Ratzon and
Mitzvah
Mitzvah.
get is like this. You really don't want to do it, but it's a mitzvah.
There's no mitzvah to give a get. If somebody's getting divorced, there's a mitzvah how to do it, but it's not a...
I think that the difference may be like this, Bob. If by Egla Rufa, the real mitzvah is, there's no mitzvah to, like you say, to slay. And we're gonna, the mitzvah is the Torah is telling you like, what your response to a situation will be. This is how you have to respond when it's going to happen. But Shichah is not just a response if you happen to forget. It's like a tchila mitzvah. I hope there'll be a matzav that when you forget, you'll do it. In other words, it's not just the Torah telling you this is what your response should be analogous to Egla.
Yeah, when you forget, your response is not to go get it.
Responses to not go get
The same idea. When you forget, now I can't.
No, but the origin of the mitzvah here doesn't happen in consciousness. Egla arufa, sadly, it does. Ein chanami. Because that's the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to respond to that victim, to that murder. You're right. The action I have to do beratzon.
Right.
But all the Averas,
But that can't happen if I didn't forget. And the forgetting, I can't do consciously. Because if I'm forgetting consciously, I'm not forgetting.
but all the Averas,
Which is what you have to explain to your wife when you forget the anniversary.
When the person does Averas, he wants to do it, but he can't do it because Torah says no, right? So in a way, we stand from all the love him in the same way. I want to do it, I want to eat that piece, but I can't.
Okay. So over there, you don't do it. But your Ratzon tells you that you want to do what Torah says. So why aren't you? Because of conviction. You have some conviction. There's something... Okay, fine. It may be against your nature, against your mood, but there's a conscious choice. I'm making a choice. Here, I don't have a choice. I didn't make that choice. At least not consciously. This idea,
Does the Shichah only apply to the bundles of grain or to anything? That walk out to the grocery store, leave one bag in the car, now walk away.
No. It applies to agriculture.
So then if someone comes around and if I have that bundle, the kind of we're supposed to read that. It seems the kind of mitzvah to get back to me.
He doesn't have a right. It's not his field. It's Geneva. How can he take somebody else's grain? You're not allowed to.
Doesn't it become the yams when it's left there from him? That it becomes, in other words, the Baal can't go back and take it because that would be ghetto from the.
Yeah, so now, so if I'm a poor person, I can take it, but if not, I can't. Yeah.
He doesn't know if it's true. When a person comes to somebody else's field, there's a bundle. He cannot take.
Well, he can ask. He can find out. If it's Shichah, then he can take it.
He can find out, but he cannot take it. Stop if it doesn't work. That would be against.
How he has to make it before he can take the Shichah?
Yeah, unless they had a section where they put it, I mean. It could be, you're saying if it's all empty, so then he can assume it's... Right, probably, yeah. This we find clearly in a Tosefta in the 3rd chapter of Masechta Peah. Peah is one of the Masechtas of Mishnayos, of course, and it has Tosefta. Tosefta, just like there's Mishnah Peah, there's also the Brises, the Tosefta of Peah. It's printed always in the back. It was also authored by the Tanoim. It just didn't make it into the Mishnah. It's called Tosefta from the word Tosfos, the additions. So the 3rd chapter of Peah, the Tosefta says as follows. Fascinating story in Yerushalm, in Tosefta Peah. There was a chassid, a pious man, who forgot a sheaf of grain in his field. And then he discovered that he forgot it. He tells his son, this is during the time of the second Beis HaMikdash, apparently. He tells his son, wow, we're going to throw a major feast. I want you to get an ox and offer it as a carbon oil in the Beis HaMikdash, which is completely consumed on the altar. A second ox, offer as a contribution, a carbon nedava, a carbon shlamim. The fat is burnt on the altar. A little part is eaten by the kohanim, and the rest is eaten by the owner and the family and guests and whoever he wants to have. We're going to bring it to the Beis HaMikdash, make a carbon, and we're going to throw a huge su'udah with the holy meat of the carbon. This is, he sends his son to bring 2 offerings. Oh, my Lord, his son says to him, Abba, Father, why are you celebrating this mitzvah more than any other mitzvahs? Every morning when you put on tefillin, you should also send 2 korbanos to the Beis HaMikdash. You did a mitzvah. You gave tzedakah, shichah. Why suddenly are we doing a whole big celebration? Oh, my lawyer's father told him, Kol mitzvah sheb'Torah nosan lehem ha'makom l'datenu. All the mitzvahs of the Torah Hashem gave us to observe with our das, with our mind, with our awareness. Hashem gave it l'datenu. He gave it over to our das. We decide we want to do the mitzvah. Zu shaloi l'datenu. This mitzvah he didn't give over to our das. He didn't submit it to our consciousness, to our perception, to our mindset. Here's the mitzvah, and now your das decides to do the mitzvah. He never gave it over to our das. Why? She'ilu asanihu biratzon lifnei hamakom loiba mitzvah zuliyadenu. If we wanted to do this mitzvah willingly, we could have never done the mitzvah. If we want to do the mitzvah with our das, we could have never done the mitzvah. The pasuk says, when you harvest a field, sheaf, when you harvest the grain in your field, then you'll forget, then you can't come back to get it. This has a special blessing. Ad kan loshen ha-Tosefta. Quote of the Tosefta in Peah. The father here is telling his son something. But this itself needs explanation. Okay, so you didn't give it over to your das. So why is it such a simcha? Why is it such a celebration? Why is the joy so powerful, so profound? He didn't give it over to your das, no. Every mitzvah he gave over to my das, meaning I have the ability and the need to decide I want to do it, and that's what makes it happen. Here not. If I decide I want to do it, it can't happen. It happens despite me, not because of me. says, the pshat is, she'im kein, kiyu mitzvah zu hibchines matana mulmayla. This mitzvah is a gift. It's a gift that you couldn't anticipate. L'chein ani makriv par. That's why I'm bringing a special carbon. That's what he's saying. All the mitzvahs, it's midatenu. We planned it. Here, I couldn't plan it. It was something given to me. V'hainu, what is the deeper meaning in this? This is the nekuda. Ha-mitzvah shem tluyim b'daiti ritzoyne shel adam. The mitzvahs that are dependent on your das, on your rotzen, sharsham lamayla gamkin bekeser. They're also rooted in the divine keser, the divine crown, the divine rotzen. Mepchines arich ampin, what we call arich ampin, shuhu pchines rotzen ha'alyin, which is the divine will, shu pchines shoirish ha'etzalim, which is the source of atzilus, as the Zohar says, the introduction to the Kunei Zohar, Pasach Elio, antu da apikas asar tikunim v'karina loy nasa sfiron. It's you who allows 10 spheros to emerge from you. You is your will, your desire. So how do these mitzvahs evolve down here? They're dependent on our will. They are God's will, and God's will now becomes my will. What do we say in Pirkei Avos? It's all about my will, just because it was His will. When you do these mitzvahs, you access that ratzon elyon, that divine will. That's what you do. That's why before we do the mitzvah, we make a bracha, what do we say? He sanctified us, or He betrothed us, kiddushanu also from the word kiddushan, b'mitzvaysav, through His mitzvah. What says kiddushanu? A person can do a mitzvah with tremendous joy, tremendous anticipation. That's what a bracha. I'm going to do a mitzvah. I'm going. There's a tremendous imcha. Why? Because at this moment he's going to access and bring down the divine will, which is going to be a makif. It's going to encompass him completely and going to transcend the individual parameters of his individual personality. This is ratzon that encompasses in what we call soiv of kalalman. So you can do it with a tremendous simcha, with a tremendous ratzon, with a passion. Yes, there are people who do it with monotony and with boredom and with the lack of excitement. Even they have some type of ratzon because they're doing it maybe robotically, like you brush your teeth in the morning, but you want to brush your teeth in the morning. Lahavdil.
Just like that, ratzon elyon, which is sovev, is also makif.
It's also makif.
Mimicking the makif.
He's, so to speak, He's, so to speak, replicating it, mimicking it. He does it with ratzon. He could do it with tremendous simcha, anticipation, preparation. It's not Torah. It's not something that's going to be digested in the parameters of the person. That's its uniqueness. It's even higher on that level. It's makif. It's the levush. But those mitzvahs that are daika means bediuk, they're precisely not with das. K'may mitzvahs shichah, hanisker like the mitzvah of shichah. Shorsha mebchina tachtoina shebematzel. The shirish of this mitzvah is not from arich, it's from atik. It's not from chitzonius hakeser, it's from pnimius hakeser. It's not from rotzen, it comes from what's called the matzel, the source, not the keser, which is the top of Atzilus. It comes from the matzel himself, who is beyond will, beyond desire. V'nikra makif de makif. Ve'efsher, it's possible that Zeh B'chinas Raiva the Chol Raivin. The Zohar speaks about Raiva the Chol Raivin. The Hainu Rotzen LeRotzen. Raiva in Aramaic is Rotzen, desire. He calls it Raiva the Chol Raivin, meaning the desire of all the desires. The Rotzen that is deeper than all the Ritzonis. Rotzen that even Legabe Rotzen it's Rotzen. It's the Rotzen that transcends even Rotzen. So therefore the way it comes down here also is the same way. If you're conscious, if you have a Rotzen for it, you can't do this mitzvah. The only way you can access this aspect of divinity is beyond your own ratzon, beyond your conscious will. If there's a conscious will, I can't access it. Why? Because this mitzvah is rooted in a much deeper place, so to speak, within the divine, that's higher than ratzon. So the only way I can have it is shaloi midas. So when the father saw that he got this mitzvah, he said, this is a different celebration. This warrants a unique celebration. We'll soon see later. He's going to explain what he meant with other examples. Adalayada, you see. Adalayada. He's saying Purim, Chayiv, Inish, Lepsum, but Purim, Adalayada. You want to end up there, but you start with conscious. So it's different than Shichah. It's even different than Shichah.
Today's mom is not shocked to this mitzvah.
Shichah?
No, yeah, Shichah. Because even people who do this, it's all workers and it's all, they're not even there, Muslim. They wouldn't even know they forget.
Why? If I ever failed, why not?
Because people are usually there. I usually have people who are Mexicans.
There's looking of the.
Not usually there.
Who, the owner?
Yeah.
But if he makes them responsible and they forget, the mitzvah of Shichah applies.
Who decides that we DCM who has to do it? If it's not a mitzvah, then it's like Shichah. Not like Tzedukah. Tzedukah has an amount, so when they have more money, you give more.
Right. Right, that's the point. Tzedakah, it depends on a lot of things, right? Theoretically, like he asked, if there's no poor people, I mean, we know there are, but if there's no poor people, it's fine. Torah doesn't have to do with anything else.
Just say that somebody who can't get away just with the Torah again.
Well, there's a section in Shulchan Aruch called Hilchos Talmud Torah, and over there it's discussed at length. In fact, the first sefer that the Alter Rebbe wrote was Hilchos Talmud Torah. His first sefer. It's printed in Shulchan Aruch, but this he wrote before everything. He wrote Hilchos Talmud Torah. It's also in the Shulchan Aruch. It's both, and over there he discusses everything, all the details. Ultimately, the person has to see himself. It's not.
If a person has a hole in the pocket and drops a coin, you see the poor person finds it.
It's Mekayim Tzedakah.
Is this a high level that if you consciously according to this?
That's like Shichah, right?
Is it the same idea?
Over there, you actually never find even out you did the mitzvah. The coin falls, a poor man picks it up, so it says you're Mekayim Tzedakah. Over there, it remains beyond das. You don't know what happened to it, right?
It's a higher level. Because it seems to come from a higher level.
Interesting. You're saying that in many ways is a higher level of tzedakah. Well, certainly it's matan b'seiser. The guy is very comfortable with it. Yeah. That's an interesting mashal you're giving. But certainly nobody's going to say that the only way to be Mekayim tzedakah is that way, right? Let's hope so. With Shichah, the only way to do it is through forgetting. No, it says that if you had a cell and it fell and Ani picks it up, well,
you get a mitzvah from the fact that it only happens because...
You mean because he lost it? But the mitzvah is on me. The mitzvah is on me. I find something, I see it. Oh, you mean I was walking in the street? I was walking in the street. You're saying Hashavas Aveda is also an inyan of mitzvah. It happens. But it's not Hepech Hadas. Hashavas Aveda is not Shaloi Midas. I walk out of my house and I say, today I'm going to walk. I would like to do a Hashavas Aveda. I may be able to, I may not be able to. Right? But if I find something, great. It doesn't require the absence of das. If I'm mindful, I'll find. Shichah requires the absence of das.
Find something, you can still say the Shamiach before you pick it up. Shichah, there's no way you can say the Shamiach.
You say the Shamiach before you go back.
No. The mitzvah started not after you forgot. The mitzvah started when you forgot. If a poor person takes it, you say. You mean, it's an interesting shaila. So you're saying the Shichah is not the mitzvah, the Shichah is the machshir of the mitzvah. Okay, enochanami.
So
Right, but part of you here is a different type. When we say part of you, it's not like mazon, it's a levush.
But it's really because like a Muslim, no? It's because like you internalize what you learn. If you just learn it, then
You practice what you learn, that's what you mean. Well, achilas kachim, eating karbonas, carbon pesach, huh? Well, it's the physical aspect. In a charami, you're saying you have mitzvahs that are also food, but it's physical food. So obviously those mitzvahs are more connected to the... It means that...
it's one thing.
Yeah, no, on one level, in this Indian, it's one. Torah and mitzvahs are the blueprint of the world. He looked into Torah and he built the world according to Torah, according to the wisdom of Torah. But much of the wisdom of Torah is explanation of the mitzvahs. So you're right, he looked into Torah and the mitzvahs. Much of Torah is mitzvahs.
It's the same thing. It's just a matter of the action.
Yeah, in life, there's the aspect of learning, there's the aspect of doing, yeah. You're right. In many ways, it's one, yeah.
Of course, the Shir is great, and that's really...
That's what he's saying. The whole Torah is an explanation of the mitzvah.
I'm not learning Parshas Sivanis. Didn't you see that in other places that they let them because they had a need for it?
Yeah. I guess he didn't have a need for it. Menachas Tzadik Tes Amud Beis. Maybe Dama Ben Esina? I thought there was him. 99b. Oh, I got it right. Almost right. Ben Dama. There was a Dama Ben Esina with the Para Adumas. I mixed up the names. A man named Ben Dama. He was the nephew of Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael had a sister, and Rabbi Yishmael's sister's son was a man named Ben Dama. And he asked Rabbi Yishmael, I learned the whole Torah, can I learn Greek wisdom? So he told him, go find an hour that is not day and not night, and that's when you should learn it. Yeah, go find a shah she'ena min hayom ve'ena min halayla. In other words, Rabbi Yishmael felt that you're obligated to learn a whole day, even if your knowledge... He says, I learned the whole Torah. I mean, that's a pretty heavy statement. The guy must have been brilliant and spent a lot of time learning, obviously, his whole life. And then the Gemara brings another opinion, right? Rabbi Yonasson's opinion that the pasuk Hagisa B'Yom V'Layla is not a chayva, it's not an obligation, it's a bracha. That Hashem saw that Yehoshua felt that Torah is so beloved because he never stopped learning. So Hashem said, ooh, you love Torah so much, I'm promising you that Lo Yamur Sefer HaTorah Hazeh Mipicha, the Torah will never be removed from your mouth. Day and night you'll always have Torah because I see how much you love it. Rashi puts it there and he says that Hashem promised him that he'll never forget Torah. In other words, Yom V'Layla, there'll never be a moment you say, oh, what is that? I forgot. Rashi says, because he loved it so much, he'll never forget it. It's a very interesting Rashi. I mean, you see that when you really love something, so God says, make sure you won't forget it. Perhaps it's just a natural thing. You know, when you really love something, you don't forget it, right? To the Santa Rashi. Menachas Tzadik Tes Amud Beis. You're saying there were great Jews who did learn other stuff. Tanya Perek Ches, he discusses it. He also was asking Chachma Yevonis. Chachma Yevonis, Greek wisdom. His language is Chachma Yevonis. Greek philosophy, Greek wisdom.
This class is brought to you by the yeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.